Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm not really sure how to word it. I don't know how I'm going to word it in the title, but it's the idea of if I could handpick my own shades from palettes, like if I could just take one or two, cherry pick one or two shades from certain palettes, then I would buy them. And this video idea is actually from a subscriber. If I could only keep X from Y palette, then I would buy it. And I love that idea. I'm also doing this video because if you guys know of any dupes or any singles that are available in these shades, please let me know. I would love to actually buy them. So just let me know if you know of any singles that are dupes for these shades that I'm going to talk about today. I would really appreciate that. But I'm just going to get started. Okay, so the first palette I want to talk about is by Colored Raine. It's the Queen of Hearts palette. This is a very popular palette here on YouTube. It was limited edition for a while and then it came back because it was so popular and people wanted it. And I'm really glad that it did because it was limited edition during my no-buy last year and I really wanted to get it, but I didn't want to break my no-buy, and I had so many eyeshadows already that I decided not to get it. And then when I found out it came back, it was really exciting. And when I look at the palette, it's beautiful and it seems like it'd be right up my alley because it has a lot of warm shades. It has a beautiful orange and purples as well, and I love wearing oranges and purples on my eyes. Those are probably my two favorite colorful eyeshadow colors to wear when I'm wearing colorful eyeshadow. And yeah, so the two shades in this palette specifically that call to me are Empress, which is a beautiful bright matte orange, and Ladyship, which is a matte bright warm purple. And I just feel like those are the two shadows I always look at when I look at this palette. That's exactly where my eyes go. I might get it later on down the road, I'm not sure, because I know it's good quality and I hear good things about it, but I don't need it right now. Like, there's no pressure for me to get it right now because I feel like I have that purple and orange somewhere in my collection, and if I don't, I can buy a single. The next eyeshadow palette is the Lila eyeshadow palette from Natasha Denona. It is $129 full price, which is a lot for an eyeshadow palette. I don't think I've ever spent over... That's a lie. I've spent a lot of money on eyeshadows in the past, but I've never spent $129 on a palette before. So if I were to own this palette, I really feel like I would get a lot of different looks out of it. I would use it and get a lot of use out of it. I think I would really enjoy this palette if I owned it. But when I look at the palette, when I look at swatches and photos and stuff, there's really only two shades in the palette that really scream my name. The first one is Cyclone. It's in the top row, and it's kind of like a pinky coral shimmery shade, and I don't own anything like that, and I feel like if I were to own it, I would wear it all the time, especially in the warmer months. I think it's a beautiful color, and I don't know, if Natasha Denona sells singles of Cyclone, I would probably buy that. I'd probably spend the extra money just to have that one single, but I don't think it's worth buying the entire palette. And the other shade is Magentic, which is a bright purple. I don't know if it's as shimmery as Cyclone, but it's still got like a sheen to it, if anything. And that one just, you know, I love purple eyeshadows, and when they're really like hot fuchsia magenta shades like that one, they really speak to me. So if I were to have this palette, those would probably be the two shades I would gravitate to the most, but it's not worth me buying $129 worth of eyeshadow just to have those two shades in my collection, at least not right now. The next eyeshadow palette I'm going to talk about is by Too Faced. It's the Chocolate Bar palette. I actually owned this back in the day, and I decluttered it in my eye product declutter video. I was kind of surprised at myself that I was so willing to declutter it because I did really like that palette, specifically because there was one shade in there that I loved, but I decided it wasn't worth me keeping the entire palette and just letting it get older and older in my collection just because of the one shade that I really liked. The shade is Salted Caramel or Caramel. It's a beautiful, warm crease shade. It would be a crease shade for me with my skin tone, and it's just, it was so beautiful. I used it all the time. It was creamy and buttery, and it was a beautiful warm brown, and it looked so nice in the crease, and I did enjoy using it, but I feel like there has got to be a dupe of that somewhere out there. I think ColourPop has a single called Shooting Star. I think that's a pretty close dupe. I haven't tried it yet, I haven't bought it yet, so I don't know, but there's gotta be. I mean, how hard can it be to find a warm mid-tone crease shade? Like, I don't think that'd be super hard to find. So I'm still on the hunt for it. I guess I haven't been looking that hard, but decluttering the palette was that much harder because of that one shade specifically. So if I could have that one shade, I think I'd be really happy. Another product isn't in a palette, but it's kind of in a set or kind of like a duo. It is the Laura Geller Portofino highlighter. Usually it's in a duo in the same pan with French Vanilla by Laura Geller, and that one is like a more subtle highlight. I don't really need that one. Portofino is a highlight I hear about all the time on YouTube. People use up the entire thing because they love it so much, and I can never find it in a single. It usually comes in some kit with a brush, and I don't want to buy a duo with another shade in it that I don't like. I just want it by itself. So Laura Geller if you aren't already, just please sell Portofino by itself as a regular, not limited edition highlighter. Like, just make it available for us, because trust me, people would buy it if you had it available. The next two palettes I'm going to talk about are actually palettes that I already own, and I'm just going to talk about the shades that I love and would actually purchase on their own if I could get them in singles. And one of the cases I can. For the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, I think you can buy all the shades in singles now, so if I do use up the shades that I have, I would most likely purchase the singles instead of just getting a whole palette. The last two shades on the right are just too deep for me. They're not ones that I would use. I'm considering depotting all the shades in that palette and giving the last two shades to a friend of mine who has a deeper skin tone, just so she can use them while I use up the shades that work for my skin tone. I don't know if I want to risk breaking those shades though, because there's always a risk when you depot something. I think I'm just going to use them up as much as I can, but if I could go back, I would just buy the 4 shades that actually matched my skin tone, and I probably wouldn't even buy the bronzers, but the 2 top highlighting shades are really nice. I really like using those, so I think I would, if I could go back in time, I would just buy the top 2 shades. The next palette I'm talking about is the Film Star Bronze and Glow palette by Charlotte Tilbury. It is a beautiful palette, and the packaging is just gorgeous. I love Charlotte Tilbury makeup. It's good quality, but the packaging just like takes it to a new level. Yes, it's expensive, I understand. There's just something about the experience of using the makeup that kind of makes it worth the money to me personally. The Film Star Bronze and Glow bronzer is amazing. It's one of my favorite bronzers. It's a beautiful shade. It's skin-like. It's not too deep. It's not too orange. It's really great for someone who has a lighter skin tone. I know Charlotte Tilbury does have a deeper version of this palette for people with a deeper skin tone. It's really the highlighter. The highlighter is kind of a gold shade, a champagne gold I guess you would say, and I don't love gold highlights on my skin. It's not bad. It's not like it turns up super yellow on my skin. I can make it work, but I just don't love it as much as the bronzer, and I paid $68 for that palette, so for me to not be crazy about half of the palette kind of sucks. But I do really love the bronzer, so if I could buy the bronzer on its own in like a single, I would definitely do that over getting the palette. The next palette is the Tarte Be a Mermaid and Make Waves eyeshadow palette. I like the idea of the palette. It's kind of mermaid themed. The palette is in the shape of a shell. It's cute. I don't know if I would buy it just for the packaging, but I do appreciate the creativity that went into making it. And this palette was never really on my radar. I never really thought I would buy it until I saw Tara Babies do a haul video where she swatched all the shades. And of course, whenever I watch her swatch a palette, I immediately want it. There were 2 shades in particular that looked really unique to me that I thought were really pretty. The first one was Bubbles, which is, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a very light, dusky purple, a cooler tone purple with a light blue shift to it, and it just is so unique to me, and I don't know anything like that. I think that would be really pretty on the eyes, so I kind of really want that shade in particular. And the other one is Splash, which is a really light and shimmery aquamarine type of color. And I don't know anything like that. I think it would be so fun to play with that color, especially in the summertime, either wearing it on the lower lash line or all over the lid. I just feel like there's couple different things I could do with it, and from the way Tara swatched them, it seemed like they had some pretty good pigmentation to them, so I feel like I could make a really cute look with them, but I don't need that whole palette, especially because it looks kind of clunky being shaped in a seashell like that. I don't think I need the whole palette just for those 2 shades, so if anyone knows of any dupes for either Splash or Bubbles, please let me know because I'm really interested. The next palette is a palette I will most likely end up buying, not anytime soon, but like in the future. I just feel like I always get pulled back to it, and I feel like in the end, I'm gonna end up just buying it. The palette I'm talking about is the Desert Dusk palette by Huda Beauty, and there are 2 shades in this palette that I love, that I want so bad. The first one is Twilight. It's right in the middle of the palette. I don't know how to describe it. From the swatches, it looks like it's a super light, shimmery, lavendery pink. I don't know how to explain it, and it just looks amazing. I think that would look beautiful on the lid. If you guys don't know, melodramatic purple is going to be like the new millennial pink. That's what all the magazines have been telling me, and I feel like that shade, Twilight, is very like on trend with that color, and I just really want it in my life. I want it on my lids right now. The other shade is Retrograde, and this one is the one that originally caught my eye. From the photos, it looks like it is a duochrome. It has like a brownish undertone, like a warmer reddy brown, and then the shift is like an aquamarine light blue color, and it looks so beautiful. I know Urban Decay Solstice is similar to it, but I just don't feel like it's as pigmented and it has as strong of a shift as Retrograde, so part of me still really wants to get it. I think I will end up getting this palette just because the other shades are pretty too, and they're ones that I could use. Like, they're relatively unique. Like, I don't have anything like Blood Moon, I don't have anything like Saffron, I don't have anything like Angelic. I just feel like there's enough unique shades in there, but if I do end up buying it, it's because I really want Twilight and Retrograde in my life. And that's everything I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was a fun idea. If you have any palettes like that where you really want to get it, but it's only because there's 1 or 2 shades in it that are really calling to you, let me know which ones they are. I'd love to hear your answers. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys. The palette I'm talking about is from Huda Beauty. The palette I'm talking about is the Desert Dusk palette. The palette I'm talking about is the Desert Dusk palette from Huda Beauty.